What is up, lovely YouTube? So I just got out of school, and in one of our classes, it's called capstone theory. What we're doing is we are critiquing just communication, different communication spheres. And today we had a debate. Now, we didn't debate, we watched two people debate, and the topic was abortion. And it's just kind of got me thinking as I was hearing about their debate topic, and then just kind of hearing the debate about abortion and all that stuff. And I was just like, well, what do I say? What do I do? And I wanted to, I guess, throw something out there to say something about it, because it's such a weird topic, and I hate it so much. I hate it so much. Because, one, I don't know what direction to take abortion. It feels like either way that you choose is highly motivated by a preconceived notion, or like how you approach life, or just how you've been either raised, or your beliefs and whatnot, which will naturally kind of push you to go one way or the other. There's kind of no real moral ground, or like common ground, I should say. And so for me to address it, it makes it very difficult, because I understand what they're coming from, and of course another issue, I guess, is they like to inflate the 1% of like rapes and illegitimate, like the bad stuff that may push someone to do abortion, but it's literally less, if not even 1% of abortions happen this way. And so, not saying that determines anything, but it is creating a very insignificant amount and expanding it to the whole and whatnot. So it just kind of makes it difficult to address it when things like that happen. I also don't know how to address it, because it seems to be motivated by, or not the choice, not the position that you're in, but the fact that we have abortion as an issue seems to be coming from a strand of events that lead up to a point where now we're forced with a choice with, oh wait, do we have abortion or do we not have abortions? But if we didn't have the string line of events that got us to a point to have this issue, I don't think abortion would even be wouldn't even come to an issue. And those kind of things, I'm meaning well, when you take one step back, okay, so we have abortion, but what happens right before that? You had sex. Okay, so we take another step back right before that. What motivated you to have sex? Well, you really like this person, or you're kind of swinging around and being careless. Okay, so if we take those avenues, we take a step back again. Okay, so what's motivating you to have sex with this person, or what's motivating you to be very careless with your sexual life? And then we take another step back, and we find that either you are really needing like security, you find security, or maybe it's a stress reliever, or things like that. And just like as you keep taking these steps back, you find that there's this string line of events that take a person leading up to the point of, oh crap, now I am in this position where I cannot financially support a kid. I don't live in an environment to support a kid. The dad isn't really there, which is another streamline of events to prove that abortion the concept, the issue of abortion comes from a huge string line of problems, because now we have the guy's side that's leading up to that point. And so, and then it leads up to maybe broken families is the problem, the reason why we have this issue of abortion. But of course that's very not indirect, but it's having to cover a huge sphere of or just social issues to eventually get to the point. But like, how do you approach that to somebody? Or how do you communicate with it? And so, like, I guess I always see issues in this very deep, complex, intertwined web, and I don't know how to address those kinds of topics to people. And so I was trying to figure out how in the world would I address or talk a topic like this with somebody who has a different worldview, and also approaching it very unbiasedly, because then you're wondering, okay, so I have a struggle with focusing very much in the present, the leaf, I guess, to the trunk of the problem, because I would say that abortion is really a twig to a greater issue of a trunk. And if the trunk was dealt with, then abortion wouldn't actually be and it wouldn't be a controversial thing. But to try to focus on trimming the hedges, I would say, I don't know how to approach the topic, and so I was trying to think of some ways. And so I would, playing in their playground, I would have to say, fine, legalize abortion if you want. Unfortunately, because I mean, yes, in my personal sphere, I would disagree with it, but also keeping in mind their worldview, I cannot argue my moral stance because they don't fundamentally agree with it. So I cannot use that as a basis, for one, and then to like break down like potentially the background of a person coming up to a point that has them now having to forcefully choose, do they keep a baby or not, will have influences of my personal beliefs, and they may disagree that certain things may or may not be an issue, even though we try to lay out that no, this thing leads to this, which leads to that, which leads to that, and as you go down this chain, eventually you're sleeping with some dude illegitimately and or just like in a position that makes you vulnerable to have to make that decision. And so people try to trim the hedge by having sexual education at a very, very young age, because, you know, abstinence doesn't work, or it's 100%, but it's not going to change the fact that people are going to have sex. Well, that's true, but we're also encouraging a different mindset and approach, and so now this continues to be an issue. And so I would unfortunately have to say, yes, that's fine to legalize abortion, but to play in their sphere, I'm like, okay, so who's responsible though? Because if fundamentally by the 99% of people that are being careless, or you know, I guess if something happens and their birth control doesn't work or something, who's responsible for that abortion if it's legalized? I don't think it is valuable or valid to have, because I don't really know how the whole system works, but if other people's tax dollars are being being pushed into support or like funding abortion, I think it is bad that by the carelessness, but like the because how exactly do you just kind of end up just having sex and whatnot, however you get into that position, other people shouldn't be held responsible for a person's sexual life, I guess. And I guess that's the only best way I can come to think of to play in their spheres. Like, okay, fine, have it be legal, but don't force other people to pay for it. You will have to find a way to pay for it, or whatever kind of companies are out there to help pay. I don't know how much that would cost, but I also may not know that maybe this stuff actually does cost something. It doesn't cost tax dollars, but yeah, it's just really difficult for me to be able to, I guess, approach the system, approach the issue in their playground without, and just trying to take it from a very non-biased approach. And whatnot. So I don't know. It's a very controversial topic. I would like to hear what you guys think, but I want to hear you guys talk about it in a very non-biased way. So Christians or Christian influenced people, or maybe non-Christian. You don't have to be Christian to be pro-life, but like, how would you address this topic with men and women who are pro-choice in their playground? I hope I make sense about trimming the hedge part. Like, I feel like instead of dealing with the root of the problem, we're trying to make the bush a little less ugly by trying to figure out, you know, should we make it legal or not legal? And unfortunately, I think in the sphere that we live in, fine, make it legal, but don't have other people responsible for it. Not only because of personal reasons, but just because this is a pretty big deal, having sex and all that stuff, and to kind of fall on the backs of other people babysitting you for making your decisions. or poor decisions and bringing a life involved or into the world, and other people are going to pay for it. Doesn't sound great. So I want to hear your thoughts. And those who are pro-choice, like, how would you guys talk in the sphere, in the playground that you have presented? That's I don't know. It's such an ugly topic. I hate it so much, but I really want to hear you guys' thoughts. Those are kind of my thoughts, me trying to process it. And so I guess I'll see you guys in another video, another life. You never know. And